This conference will now be recorded.
So what is the last class, Shivaram?
It's about the statistics, mean, mode, and median, calculation
Okay.
of those, and looking at the frequencies and finding the mode. And we looked at the group data set, like forgot that name, man. Sorry.
Yeah. So you understood that central tendency.
Yep.
From that central tendency, we seen only three things, which is the mean, median, and mode. In
Yep.
different type of data, it might be grouped data, it might be ungrouped data. So how you can able to calculate the mean, median, and mode? You understood, right?
Yep.
So yeah, that's what. And so let's continue that thing from the central tendency. We seen only three things here: mean, median, and mode. But actually, we have a few more points are there. Actually, we have few more points are there. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. We have few more points are there. Okay. So which are the different type of means are there? Trimmun mean. Okay. Or else geometric, geo mean, harmonic mean. So which are the things also will help you to know that? Let's talk about central tendency, right? Yeah. Yeah. So we seen that mean, median, mode, frequency, and this part we seen it right previously, and this group would mean, and this particular part also we seen it. So guys, you just need to remember these formulas whenever we require. Actually, these things it won't ask in interview, but whenever you are attending some kind of written test, might be that situations you need to be thoroughly of it. Okay, statistics part. So yeah, see, we've seen that mean, median, and mode, right? See, at this particular situation, this mean and median and mode will help you to find out the central point, right? Okay,
Yes.
to find out the central point, right? So whatever the data we have it, that we need to be distributed, frequency distributed. Whenever whatever we have the data, that we can do frequency distribution graph. So that the graph it will be showing something like this. Okay, something like this. In this particular situation, the mean and median and mode, it will be this three will be the same. Okay, then that will be symmetric distribution. Understood?
Yeah.
Symmetric distribution.
Distribution. Yeah.
If any situation this particular mean and median and mode is not equal, might be mean will be the more, or mean will be the lesser than the rest of the two things, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so that we can say that it's a asymmetric distribution actually. Symmetry distribution and asymmetry distribution. Okay,
Yeah.
so if the data is symmetry distribution, if the data is symmetry distribution, there is no skewness. Skewness in the sense, skewness is the term, skewness is the term which indicating that whether my data is skewed data or sorry, the data is symmetry distribution or normal distribution. You can say that symmetry distribution, we can say that it's a normal distribution. Asymmetry distribution in the sense it's not a normal distribution. Okay, so
Yeah.
the names will be, just try to remember it guys, because of I can't do anything, because of that will be the standard names. So I'm not great at the names. Okay, you need to follow it actually. Okay, so whenever a data if you distribute it, whenever a data if you distribute it, if it is follows the normal distribution, you can say that normal distribution in the sense mean, median, mode will be the same. Whenever the data is a normal distribution, that we are calling it say symmetry distribution. Okay, skewness is nothing but skewness is the asymmetry in a statistical distribution, or else we can say that skewness is the asymmetry in distribution. Okay, so in which curve appears distorted or skewed either to left or right. That means here there is no skew, so that it exactly middle of it. This line will be exactly middle of it, because of the here mean, median, mode will be the same, right? For example, if you do the graph, it will be something like this. So this is the left skewed actually. Whenever the data we have it, that will be something like this. This kind of thing we are calling it a right skewed. Okay. So whenever a distribution, it might be skewed at left or right. So that particular situation, the skewness is the quantify defining the extents to which distribution differ from the normal distribution. Understood? Skewness, it was very simple thing. It will be saying that whether my data is symmetry distribution or asymmetry distribution. Shivaram, did you understand my point?
Yep.
Good. All of you, what is symmetry distribution? You understood? Sorry, skewness. You understood, right? So you can say that particular symmetric distribution, we can say that it's a normal distribution. The graph is a classical symmetrically bell shaped. The mean, average, the mode, and the median all are equal. In a perfect normal distribution, on entire either side of the curve exactly mirror image of each other. Okay, that means if you fold it, the both will be the same. That means left side how much data we have it, right side also same data, same data you might have it actually. Okay, so that we are calling it's a normal distribution. When the
Yep.
distribution is skewed to the left, the tail of the curve is the left side is longer than the tail on the right side of the distribution. Okay, this particular situation, mean is less than the mode. You understand my point?
Yes.
In case of left, this is the left skewed, guys. Okay, this is the left skewed. In this particular left skewed, this kind of left skewed, we can say that it's a left skewed or negative skewness. In case of negative skewness, mean will be very smaller than the median or mode. Mean is small than other things, then that is left skewed. Whenever you calculated the mean and median and mode, if the mean will be more than the rest of the two median, then this kind of thing we are calling it's a positive skew, or else right skewed. Got it? When a distribution is skewed to the right, the tail of the curve right side is longer than the tail of the left side. The mean is greater than the mode. This situation you're calling it say positive skewness. Okay, you understood, right? What is skewness? And the data will be no skew in the sense it is a symmetrical distribution. If there is a skew, whether it is a positive or negative, how can you say that it's a positive? So if mean will be the more than the if the mean will be more than the mode, then it's a positive skew. If mean will be less than the median, that will be the negative skew actually. That is left skew. Got it? So this is the skewness. This is the way we can able to find out the skewness in our distribution. In symmetric distribution, mean, median, mode both find the central accurately. These are the approximately equal. So this is already we seen it. This was explaining from the last 10 minutes onwards. I hope you understood. It was very less points are there. One thing, first distribution we should understand. Distribution in the sense we are going to be representing the data in graphical manner. Okay, that particular situation, a frequency distribution. You can say that it's a frequency distribution. Okay, so the distribution can be the symmetric or asymmetric. Symmetric means mean, median, mode will be the same. Asymmetric means there is some variation is there. That is asymmetric distribution. So that asymmetric distribution you can able to figure out with help of the skewness. Actually, the skewness will be the zero, that is symmetric distribution. Skewness will be the positive or negative. It depends upon the your mean. The mean will be the more than the, okay, the mode, then it is the positive skewness. So that we can say that, say, positive skewness or else right skewed. Okay, positive skewness or else right skewed. If mean will be the less than the mode, then it is the negative skew or else left skewed actually. Okay, got it my point?
Yes.
Yeah. See, this kind of this is the graph, right? This is the graph we seen it, right? This particular graph we can able to display in visualization with a bar chart actually, histogram. You can see that it's the histogram. Okay, you can say that it's a histogram. Here mean and median will be almost similar, right? Mean and mode almost similar. However, is a skew distribution, the mean miss the mark actually, because of mean will be it's 1 point less, right? So this histogram is starting fall side of the central data. The problem occur because of the outlier. Outlier in the sense there is some more distance data we have it. We can see here we have the 70 is somewhere else. Okay, there is some gap is there, right? Okay, so but here the data will be continuously following, but here there is some where data will be there, huge difference is there. For example, this is the my central point. Let us consider this is my central point. The 70 will be somewhere else. So however, a skew distribution, the mean can miss the mark. The histogram below is starting from the, okay, it is starting fall outside of the central area. The problem occurs because of outlier have a substantial impact on the mean. Extreme value in an extended tail pull the mean away of the center. As the distribution becomes more skewed, the mean is drawn further away, come from the center. Okay, so it was the mean will be affected because of outlier, guys. If outliers are more, the mean can be some where difference is there, your central point and the mean value. Okay, here we can see that median is better representing the central tendency that particular situation. You can see median is 2758, here mean will be 36 324. This particular situation, so median we are considering whenever the skewed data. Okay, if the data is skewed, then median can be considered for representing the center point.
That's again depends upon the skewness, right? Like if either it's a positive or a negative skewness.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we
if it
can
is
see
here
you
it
can
is a
see
positive
yeah,
skewness,
yeah,
so here
yeah.
we can consider mode. If it is a negative skewness, we can consider mean.
So let's see, here we have the use of mean and median and mode. Okay,
Mhm.
when we have the symmetric distribution for the continuous data, the mean, median, mode are equal. In this case, use the mean because of it includes the all the data in the calculation. Okay, however, if we have the skewed distribution, the median is often the best measure of the central tendency. When you have the ordinal data, median or mode usually the best choice. For categorical data, you must use the mode actually.
Mhm.
Got it my point? So
Yeah.
data is skewed with the continuous data, then we can choose the median is the best thing. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and when we have the ordinal data, okay, ordinal data in the sense categorical data, either we can use the median or mode. Usually the best choice for the categorical data, mode is the best choice actually. Okay,
Yeah.
when the data is ordinal, so we have the nominal data also there, right? So
Yeah.
if it is the categorical data, the most of the time we are using the mode, but median also we can use it when the data is ordinal data. Okay, so I hope you understood when to use and how to use the mean and median and mode. Got it?
Yeah.
Uh, See, other than the mean, median, mode, we have some other statistical means are there. Okay, so the first one is weighted mean. Okay, here we have the weighted mean. See, let's take a small example. I think 2004 or 2011 that time, okay, we have the IPE score, and that means if you want to be write the MCET exam, okay, if you want to write the MCET exam, and you have the groups, right? Maths, you are getting the 100% of, for example, out of 100%, we are getting only 80% of score in the math. Okay, so physics, I am not talking about MCET. In IPE, I am talking. IPE in the sense it's a intermediate board of exam. Okay, final exams. So from the intermediate board of exam, in the maths, we are getting the out of 100%, we got only 80% of the score. And this will be, for example, 40% of the score. Okay. And this will be, for example, 20% of the score, something we got the weightage. Okay. See, actually, there is some weightage is there. Okay. Maths around 50 percentage. Okay. Actually, the reality will be maths will be 50 percentage and physics will be 25 percentage. Okay. And the chemistry, he mentioned it, it's a 25 percentage. Okay. This is the weightage the central the board of intermediate is mentioned for the MPC group people in intermediate in IPE exam. Some people they written the MCET exam. Same people they written the MCET exam. In MCET exam, you got the 120 marks. You got for example 80 marks in maths, okay, 40 marks in physics, and 60 marks in okay 60 marks in physics actually. So forgot about this weightage. Okay, forgot about this weightage, and this is the marks he got in MCET. So I want to calculate it the average score of him to find out the rank of him. So that particular situation, 80 plus 40, it will be 80 plus 40, 120, 120 plus 60, it's a 180. For example, 200 as consider, it will be 50. So this will be 100, 100, 200. This is 200 for example 100. So for example, total 300. So out of 300, okay, 100, 100, 100. Out of 300 score, you got the only how many?
180.
180, right? So if you want to calculate it, this average 180 by 300 you are usually using, right? This is arithmetic mean. Previously we seen it, but here some weights are there. Okay, in actually he was loaned himself and he was written the exam in the IPE and he got some weightage will be mentioned. But out of the 50% of weightage, I have it from the mathematical background, from mathematics from the intermediate. Okay, this weightage, how much score we got it, that weightage we need to be multiply with this one. This particular weightage you need to multiply with this one. We need to multiply this one, right? Okay, so whenever you multiply this one, we are getting the some weights, some mean. Okay, multiply, that will be your weighted mean, guys. Multiply of weights and multiply of weights and your original score by the mean of it. Okay, so the weighted mean is a kind of average. Instead of the each data point contributing the equal to the final mean, some of the data points contributing some more weights than others. You understood? Whenever you're trying to find out the mean value, but some values can be the more weight, some values can be the less weights. Okay, for example, let's take some example. Whenever we are working in one particular company, so I want to find out the average salary of the each and every employee. Okay, that particular moment based upon bonus. So bonus is also added. Okay, so some people they're getting the huge bonus, some people they're getting the less bonus, right? So how you can do that? Your weight, you're applying the weights or not? You're having the weights for each and every employee salary separately or not? Okay,
Yes,
that
that's
particular situation, that kind of situation, that kind of real world situation, the weighted mean is come to the picture to find out the average of it. Okay, some data points is more weights than others. If all the weights are equal, then we can go with arithmetic mean actually. If the weights are not equal, then you need to go for the weighted mean. In some cases you might want a number to have the more weights. In that case, you want to find out the weighted mean. First of all, To find out the weighted mean, there is a two steps are there. Okay, the first one is multiplying the number and corresponding weight. After that one, we need to add the result. That's it. Simple, right? See 1, 3, 5, 7 and 10, and equal weights will be 1 comma 1.5 for each and everything. Actually we can calculate it the normal thing, like what we can do, you can calculate it the median arithmetic mean, because the weights will be equal. But if you want to be calculated in weighted mean, you just need to multiply with this particular number and this weight, and here weights will be equal for all numbers. But in real world scenarios, the weights can be different actually. Okay, let's see. You have the 300 points exam in statistics in the class, score 80, 80, 95. The last exam much easier than the first two exam. That means actually you got the 80, 80 and 90, but second exam will be little bit of easy compared to the these two exams. Okay, then we applied some kind of weight for that one, so your professor has given less weights for that one. The weights for the exam is 80 plus 80 plus 100, 20. So totally 80 plus 80 plus 20, it will be 100, right? That means this is the 0.4 percentage. 0.4. This is the 40%. We are converting into the decimal number. That will be the 0.4. This 24% also, 20% is also you are converting into the number, decimal number. It is a 0.2 actually. So what is the final weight of average of them? So you just need to multiply it, right? What you can do, guys? What you can do? Tell me.
Yes, control L. That's fine.
First one is we need to calculate at the this weight and marks. This is the 80 score into this 0.4 percentage. First we need to multiply the each and every number and corresponding weight. Yes or no? First we need to calculate at the
No.
weight and
Can you repeat again? I'm not able to follow that.
it was very simple. Here there is a steps are there to calculate at the weighted mean. Okay, this is the score and this is the corresponding weights. So I
Okay.
want to find out the weighted mean. Then this is the percentage. We are converting into the decimal number 0.4. This is 0.4. This is 0.2. If you sum of it, you will be getting the 1. Okay. That particular moment, there is a two steps are there. First, we need to multiply the each and every number. Then after, you need to add them actually. Okay. You need to multiply the weights and numbers.
Okay.
So
I got it, yeah.
0.4 and corresponding 80. This is 0.4 and this is corresponding 80. This 0.2 and the corresponding value is 95. After you calculated the sum of this all the things, then we need to, after you multiply this each and everything, then we need to go for adding of them. So we are getting the 83. So this is the 83 will be, it's your average score. So for example, if I'm not having the weighted, then 80 plus 80 plus 95 by 3, right? So ultimately you're getting almost 160 plus 90, 160 plus 90 in the sense 250, 250 by 3 in the sense almost how much we are getting? 255 by 250 by 3, how much? $250 by 3, almost 87 or 88, that range we are getting. Okay, so that's what actually, so this is the problems we can able to calculate it. Okay, so let's have that weighted mean formula also, we have it. Okay, so let's have that the weighted mean formula. The weighted mean is relatively easy to find, but some cases the weighted mean not add up the one. For example, here whatever the weights we have it, this weights will be, if you sum of it we are getting the one, then we can follow this one actually. Okay, but in some cases if you weights will be some of them, it will be not equal to one. In that cases you will need to use the weighted mean formula, guys. You understood? Previously I'm not using the formula. Whenever I'm sum of the weighted means is equal to 1, 0.4 plus 0.4 plus 1, how much it will be, the 1 or not? That particular situation I just using this particular standard procedure, multiply the each and every weight and number, then add up them, that result we are calling it's a weighted mean. But sometimes the weights, it could not be the sum of them, it could not be the one. In that cases we need to use the standard formula. The only difference between the formula and the steps of above that is divided by the sum of the all the weights, guys. Okay, so previously you just adding of the weights, but you did not divide it by the sum of the weights. So you need to go for find out the sum of weights and we can division of it. You can easily see the formula and we can understand. Previously you seen only these two steps: multiply number and corresponding eight weights, and we need to sum of them. So this is the formula. Whenever the sum of weights which is equal to 1, but if the sum of weights which is not equal to 1, then we can able to calculate it the weight of sum of weights, then that you should need to division from the your sum of weights with sum of multiplication of numbers and weights. Okay, this is the formula will help you to find out the when the weights could not be, sum of it is not equal to 1. So the image above is a technique, is a formula weighted mean. In simple term, the formula can be written as the sum of weights into numbers by the sum of weights. Summation, in other word, in the add of them, W is nothing but weights, X is nothing but values. To use the formula, so again we have the steps. First of all, multiply the number and corresponding weights, and add the weights versus whatever the result we are getting from this particular multiplication and weights, and we should add of them. After that one, we need to add the weights and we need to division the this step 1 result by the step 3 result. That is the steps we need to follow it for to find out the weighted. Okay, weighted mean. Let's have some more, let's have one example. You can see this example, we can easily understand. Yeah, you can see here I have the weights will be 0.4, 0.2 and 2. 0.2 is there, and your sum of the elements will be, for example, 83. Then you just need to go for the 83 by 1. Okay, and see, for example, the weights is not 1. Instead of the 1, you might have the 1.2. You might have the 1.2. Then what you can do? The sum of elements will be sum of weights, sum of weights sum of weights will be 1.2. Sum of weights into values will be, sorry, sum of weights will be 1.2 instead of the 1, and your number will be 83. The overall number will be, the average value will be the the sum of numbers into weights will be 83. That particular situation you should division with 83 by 1.2 actually. Okay, so there is some warning is there. The weighted mean can be easily influenced by the outlier in our data. If we have very high or very low values in our data set, the weighted mean may not be the good in a statistic rely on. You understood the note? Okay, in your data set, if we have the weights will be the your outliers will be the more, then don't use it. Don't use it your weighted mean. Got it my point? Shivaram? Shivaram?
Yes, I'm on mute. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you understood what is the weighted mean first of all?
Yep.
Weighted mean, it was very simple to find out the average value of your numbers or values,
Yes.
which basis on the weights, corresponding weights. The first thing is that we need to multiply the weights and numbers
And get the value and add them
and add them
once you've
and
done
add
that.
them. Second step is we need to add the weights. If it is not equal to 1, then
Then we
you
need
have
to
to
divide it by the sum of weights.
yeah. Yes, that's it. Otherwise, we can use a normal value. Okay,
Hmm.
that will be the step for the weighted mean.
I have a
Next
question.
one is, yes, sure.
Oh, what is that? Okay, hold on. Little bit.
Just tell me.
Okay. The in the warning, what do
Yes.
you mean by very high or very low? How much is very high and how much is very low?
Yes, yes. For that one, you need to see the data. I have a data. Let us consider I'm taking the average age, I'm taking the age of my students in my class. I have 10 students up there. I just mentioned like one student is 21 years. Okay. One student, for example, 24 years. One student might have it like 18 years. Okay. One student might have the 19 years. One student he might have the 23 years. Okay. And see, one student is having the 10 years, one student having the 80 years. You try to understand my point. So most of the data will be fall in the range of in between the 17 to 25, but there is some data will be there. There is some low and high values are there. Very low and high values are there. Whenever you compare with this 20, 10 will be very large distance, right? This is the lower outlier. Okay. And for example, in the my class only 80 years of age person is there, then that is the outlier. Outlier in the sense that is also data, but it might be good data, it might be bad data, but the values can be where distance between the distribution data, central distribution, central point. Got
Uh,
it?
Anjan, you can show the skewness diagrams which is available above, so that
Yes,
describes
absolutely.
the better
Yes,
way.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely correct. Nice idea. And we can see previously, I show you some kind of this particular data. Right? This is the distribution, right? Whatever the data we have it, you distributed. In this particular situation, we can see the mean and median will be in somewhere else around 30,000, 28,000 to 35,000, right? But we can see here some data will be around 1,92,000. Okay, some data will be 1,20,000. It's where distance. It's not even small distance. It's a where distance.
Like
64,000. It's also this is the whole data will be say. It's not following the symmetric distribution. The reason is that there is some kind of outliers are there. Outliers in the sense the distance between the your it's not falling into the central distribution central area. Okay, it will be somewhere else. It's out of that particular that the world is different. Okay, so you can see generation gap also, you can see generation gap. Okay,
I got it.
and you can see here, this is for seeing it will be the symmetric distribution, but there is some kind of outlier is there. This is the outlier. Okay, because of it the points will be somewhere else, but this will be in somewhere else. Okay, this is the outlier in the sense in your data the data can be lower outlier, the data can be upper outlier. Okay, so outlier in the sense it's not a bad data, it can be data, but there is some kind of dissimilarity will be there. There is no similarity of your data, your much data. Okay, yes. So whenever the data, see that's you can see whenever your data having some kind of outliers or that particular situation, if I use it this particular weighted mean, you're getting the wrong predictions. Okay, that particular situation you can have the trimmed mean. You have a trimmed mean. The trimmed mean is similar to adjust the mean. Actually what you are doing actually is just adjusting the mean. In method of average, that removes the small designated percentage of the largest and smallest value before calculating the mean. Previously I showed you some kind of graph, right? What exactly what exactly the trimmed mean is doing. First of all, whatever the large data will be there, whatever the outlier data will be there, okay, lower outlier or upper outlier, the data, it can be trimmed. Some percentage of the data, it can be removed. Trimmed means remove the data, remove the unwanted data, okay, remove the outlier data. After you remove the data, then the most of the data, it will be falls in the central distribution only, right? Okay, central point only, right? The data now, it's a symmetric distribution, right? That particular situation, you can able to go for find out the trimmed mean for this particular values. Trimmed means removing. What we are removing? Some percentage of the lower and upper outliers, lower and upper data from your distribution. Now you understood what is trimmed mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can simply read this particular thing. You only understood trimmed mean is the method average of that removes small designated percentage of the largest and smallest values before calculating the mean. After removing these specified outliers and observations, the trimmed mean is found using standard arithmetic mean. You're not doing anything. You just apply the arithmetic mean. You just need to apply arithmetic mean. That's it. Okay, you just remove the outliers. You just need remove the some portion of the lower data, some portion of the upper data, and whatever the remaining data, rest of the data will be there. For that particular rest of the data, you just need to calculate the arithmetic mean. Okay, the use of the trimmed mean, it helps in eliminating the influence of outliers on your data. So even you have the outliers, it won't be influence on your original data because of you're removing the some lower outlier and upper outlier, and we are calculated the mean, right? So it won't be effect for your it won't influence your data. Okay, then unfairly affected the traditional mean. The trimmed mean used reporting the economic data in order to smooth result and paint more realistic picture. Okay, so the key features are, the first one is trimmed mean removes the all small designed percentage of the largest and smallest values before calculating the average. After that one, use trimmed mean helps the eliminates the influence of outliers. Okay, trimmed mean used for reporting some kind of economic data actually. Providing the trimmed mean inflation rate and along with the measures provide the basic of comparison actually. Okay, that's a small thing actually. Let's have some kind of example. Let's say as an example, the figures skating competition produce the following score. Okay, skating competition. So one is 8.0, one is 6.0, one is 8.1, one is 8.3, 9.1, 9.9. Okay, see, I want to be calculated the mean of it. You so arithmetic mean in the sense you just need to sum of all elements, sum of all elements by the total number of elements. This is arithmetic mean. Okay, now I'm applying the 40% of the trimmed mean. I want to apply the 40% of the trim mean by the 40%. That means below the 20% and higher the values of the 20%, you need to remove it. So we are going to be eliminating. So first of all, you are arranging in ascending order. So lower value will be the, so total we have the 5 elements are there. So each element having the some 20% data. This is 20%, this is 40%, this is till here 60, till here 80, till here it is the 90, 100%, right? So I given the 40% of the trimmed mean, so that lower the 20% and upper the 20%, that means 6.0, 9.9, you are removing that. If we remove these two elements, you left only three elements, 8.1, 8.3 and 9.1. You just need to do that average of those things, 8.1 plus 8.3 plus 9.1 by the 3. So you are getting the value is 8.5. So here, if you apply the whole arithmetic value, you are getting the 8.3. If you are applied the trimmed mean, it will be 8.5 or not. Okay, so here the outliers are not influencing on your data, so that it will be the average. The average skating competition is it's 8.5. Okay, in other word, mean trimmed at 40% is equal to 80 point, whereas the 8.21, which reduce the outlier bias. Bias in the sense it's a error, guys. Okay, bias is nothing but it's a error, outlier bias, and other effect increasing the reported average by the 0.22. This is story. This is the way you should explain in interview, not even interview. Whenever if you want to talk with this particular data, you need to give you in the story format. The mean trimmed at 40% is equal to the would equal to the 80.5, various 8.28, which reduce the outlier bias, and the effect of increasing the reported average is 0.22 points. Actually, that will be the story you should explain it if you want to explain someone of your trimmed mean, or not only trimmed mean, whatever it is. Next one is we have the geo mean is there, geometric mean. So this is the geometric mean also. It's the one of representing the central point only. This geometric mean is the average of the set of products. So set of products, that means if we have the 6 elements are there, that we need to be multiply the each and every element. Okay, the calculation of which commonly used to determining the performance result an investment or portfolio. For example, if you're investing something somewhere else, so then you can able to go for geometric mean, guys. It is equally defined by the nth root of the product. For example, if you have the 40 elements are there, you just need to multiply the each and every element of that particular 40 values, then we can able to square root of the 1 by 40. Okay, so nothing much difference of this particular geometric mean. For example, if we have the 3 elements are there, 4 elements are there, one is 4, one is 2, and one is 3, one is 6. What you should do, you need to multiply the each and every value and square root them by the 1 by 4th, because of we have the 4 elements, right? So square root of 1 into 4 into 2 into 3 into 6, the whole thing we can do that 1 by 4th, that is square root of 1 by 4th. Got it? So that is the geo mean. Determining the performance in the nth root product, the geometric mean must be used when you're working with percentages which are derived from the values. With the standard arithmetic mean works in the values themselves. The geometric mean is important tool for calculating the portfolio performance of many reasons, but one of the most significant is to take the into the account into the effect of computing. So when to use and how to use it, we just need to see these particular key points. So the geometric mean is the average rate of return. Average rate of return in the sense it was you're investing somewhere else, right? Whenever you got a project in the retail or else investment related project, that particular situation I want to find out the average rate of return. Okay, so that particular set of values are calculated using product of items, then we can able to appropriate the square root of them. Okay, that kind of things we can able to apply. Most returns in finance are correlated, including the bonds and stock returns and market risk premises. So for violet numbers, geometric average provided far more accurate measurements of the true return by considering the year over year compounding that smooth of the average, guys. Okay, anyway, you can see the formula and you can easily understand a1, a2, a3, a4, and so on. An we have the n number of elements are there. If you want to find out the average rate of return, then we just need to multiply and the square root of that particular number of elements. That is the formula, guys. Okay, so we can have some kind of example. What is the geometric mean for the 2, 3, and 6? There is 3 elements are there. Just we need to multiply them and square root of the 1 by 4, 1 by 3. That's it. The power of 1 by 3. Okay, there is cube root of 3 actually. For example, denominator fraction weights and these things, like if you have the 5, then 1 by 4. If you 12th root, that means 12 elements are there, 1 by 12 actually. It's totally depends. So here also we have that same thing. So talk about geometric, nothing will be there. It was very simple thing. It was just multiply the each and every element. Then we need to go with find out those things. See guys, harmonic mean also, it is one of the important mean thing actually. The harmonic mean is a type of numerical average. Okay, it is calculated the number of observations Getting neck pain. Yeah, for example, I have the 4 elements are there. 2, 4, and 6. If you want to find out the, I want to find out the harmonic mean, then how many number of elements are there? I have the 3 elements are there, right? So 3 by, so harmonic mean in the sense 1 by 2, you can do that reciprocal of it, plus 4 by 1 by 4 plus 1 by 6. Okay, this is the formula actually. This is the formula we can use it to find out the harmonic mean. Okay.
Exactly opposite to the arithmetic mean.
Yes, absolutely correct. Yeah, it is absolutely opposite for the arithmetic mean. The harmonic mean is the reciprocal of the arithmetic mean of the reciprocals. Harmonic mean is to for finance average data like price multiples. Harmonic mean can be used for market techniques, identify the patterns and the Fibonacci sequences actually. Okay, might be one thing will be depends of another one, right? That particular situation you can able to go for arithmetic mean. This is the formula you can able to use.
I would like to quote an example here. The harmonic means are majorly used in the like commodity tradings and
yes,
your
finance,
future
where the
tradings, futures and
yes,
options tradings.
yes, absolutely. Where the finance is comes to the picture, then that particular situation, harmonic mean is sure, it's sure, pretty sure. Okay. See, sometimes the data will be the mean will be there, but there is some kind of, because of you're not working on the population, right? You're working on some kind of sample data. You're not working on almost for every time you're not working on the population. Sometimes you're working on the sample data, right? Not sometimes, most of the time you're working on the sample data. So when you're working in the sample data, so confidence intervals will be the key point actually. This confidence intervals in the statistics refer the probability that population parameter, referring the probability that population parameter, it fall between the set of values in certain portion. For example, we calculated the mean of the sample, but I want to be calculated the population sample, then you can calculate the confidence intervals, the mean plus or minus CA means confidence intervals. So you have the sample data. I want to find out the population data as well. I want to find out the population parameters. I calculated only sample parameters. After I calculated the sample parameters, I want to be calculated the population parameters. That particular situation, the sample parameters plus or minus the confidential intervals, that it indicating that this particular range the population can be following it. Okay, that is indicating that. You can read this particular line, you can understand the confidence intervals in a statistics referring the probability that population parameter fall between a set of values, certain portion of them. For example, you have some values there, plus 5 is my sample data. I want to find out the corresponding population parameter. This data, it can be anything. It can be mean, it can be median, it can be standard deviation, whatever it is. Okay. So I want to be calculated the population corresponding things, then we can able to calculate the confidence intervals. So that particular value plus or minus confidence intervals. So the data, it can be range of this particular thing. The population data, it can be falling into this particular thing. That is the confidential intervals. CI displays the probability that parameter fall between the pair of values around the mean. You calculated the mean, right? This is, we can say that it's a mean. So the population, it is fall between the mean with this particular rounding the things, because of you're having the CI data. The CI measures the degree of uncertainty or certainty in a sampling method. So you know what is the use of the sampling method? It was purely can help you whether my sample data it is replicated for the my population data. To know that, for that one we are using some kind of sampling techniques. There we need to understand the more on the CI data. Okay, it is just introduced for my point of view, guys. So to talk about confidence intervals is forward things will be there. You don't bother about it this particular point. What is CI? Okay, CI will be, it's a one of the sampling method key rule. So whenever I started the sampling methods, definitely I can able to explain the confidence intervals. But this is the CI indicating that talk about population, whenever you're talking about population with the reference of the sample data, definitely you need to be considered the CA data. Got it? You have the sample data, you don't have the population data. If you want to be talk about the population data with help of the sample data, you need to be use the confidential intervals. We should use the CA data. That's what I'm trying to explaining it. But we need to you need to understand more on the CA in future concepts. Got it?
Yes.
Yeah, you don't bother about this particular understanding because of there is some kind of so many statistics tests we need to apply, jet test or t test. Okay, we need to find out the standard deviation. A lot of things will be depends on this particular CI. So wait for some time, but I just need to introduce the name. That is the reason I introduced this particular name over here. Confidential intervals. Confidential intervals is the name. It can help you to find out the probability of the population, the probability that the population parameter with reference of the some kind of portion of data from the sample. Okay, yeah, that's what for today's session, guys. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it, and we'll catch up by next class.
Yeah, sure. It's going to be
So
on Monday, right?
yeah. See here, we can see confidence intervals measure the degree of certainty and certainty method. Then we can take the number of probability limits, that most common being the 95% to 95% CA. Confidence intervals is conducting using of statistical methods such as the t-test. Say I've not even started the t-test and z-test, right? So make sure that we need to wait some patience to understand that this particular CA. We have the further discussion on this particular CI, okay, with a proper description. Okay, this particular situation I just introduced the only name, just a name, just a terminology I introduced. Okay, yeah, good enough, guys. We'll catch up by next class. See you, take care.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.